After proposing a series of reforms last year that would have given Albania's government the power to fine, censor and shut down domestic and foreign online media outlets without justification or a court order even, the country's president is now proposing similar measures in the fight against terrorism, the mafia and organized crime. Now, let me tell you about these reforms. They would give the country's executive special powers to spy on, search, arrest and restrict the movements of ordinary citizens, again, without court orders. Critics say it's the government's way of creating a private police and intelligence service, one that exists outside the rule of law and further erodes the separation of powers between the ruling party and the judiciary, and that the anti-KCK laws are at odds with the European Convention on Human Rights, which Albania is obliged to follow. Well, to discuss this, I'm joined from Tirana by Rovena Voda. She's Albania's Deputy Minister of the Interior. Also in Tirana is Erida Skendaj. She's the Executive Director at the Albanian Helsinki Committee. And Vincent W.J. van Gervenoy, the Director of Open Access Publishing Platform Punctum Books, joins us from Los Angeles. Good to have you all on the program. Rovena, why do you need these changes?
Well, thank you. Well, the normative act, which is known even as, the package anti-KCK, of course, has to do with the prevention of what you said, in the measures, strengthening the fight against organized crime and terrorism. In fact, the aim of this normative act is an emergency intervention with temporary, time frame, of course, in the need that we have, to intervene, and of course to be a little bit harsher against, the criminals which are part, of course, of organized crime. The emergency is that why people who have been convicted of various criminal offenses in the span of 30 years, whose property now is not affected by, court verdicts or prosecution. So it is much more, a law on fighting criminal assets.
Okay.
So, the famous say, follow the money.
Okay.
So this is, the focus of this law.
Erida, it's to give authorities more tools to fight criminals, no more, no less. Why don't you believe the government?
It's not a matter of believing or not the government, but it's a matter of the obligation of the government to respect the Constitution and the European Convention on Human Rights. But first of all, it's a matter of public consultation that for this legal initiative, very important legal initiative, there has not been a public consultation, no transparency from the government with NGOs that have in their mission the respect of human rights. And this is a very concerning issue because since the beginning of December last year, right, we called and we asked to the government to be part of the process of consultation of this legal initiative. And this legal initiative, the most concerning part is the fact that it comes in the momentum when the judiciary reform is being implemented in Albania. And this is a very important momentum. Why? Because the implementation of the justice system reform that has started since the 2016 aimed specifically to increase the independence of judiciary.
Okay.
And now that we are in the middle of the process, in the process where the special prosecution and special court against organized crime have been established, now we give this extra power to the police unit under the umbrella of the executive.
Okay, so on the issue of consultation, I'm going to get a response from Rovena in a minute, but I want to ask Vincent. Vincent, from your vantage point, do you see this as weakening the independence of the justice system?
Absolutely. I agree with Rovena that indeed this law comes at the moment that we are in the middle of the justice reform. In fact, we are in the middle of establishing an independent investigative bureau that is modeled on the FBI. And this law is only the last in a series of attempts of the current government to abrogate the powers of such a independent police investigative unit and put it under the care of the Ministry of Interior directly. And so this is absolutely a weakening of the judiciary independence.
Okay, so Rovena Voda, when we look at the longer timeline here, people aren't just taking this move as something on its own. They look at the previous attempts as well with the so-called anti-defamation package to regulate online media and so on, right, and journalists. And they also talk of a lack of consultation and transparency when it came to that as well. So they feel as if the state is just doing whatever it wants to and it's not listening to the people. Respond to that.
No, No, I think this is not true, and really, of course, I don't feel quite well when I heard such things, because the normative act seeks to resolve administratively unjustified property issues, and this is the great and the only truth. And regarding to consultation, I want to let you know that, of course, this law was drafted under, consultation in a round table with all, very important stakeholders, and of course our partners, which of course are experts from Euralius and PAMECA mission, which are missions of European Commission, which supports, Ministry of Justice and Ministry of Interior. So this is an act, this is a legal act which has been consulted with them, and so where we are. And let me make you know also that the principles of respecting human rights are put on this law, and there is a specific article on this. And we are not giving powers to police. We just want to give a little space more to police to investigate actively, and every decision of the police will go under the filters of SPAC, which is the Special Prosecution Against Organized Crime and Corruption, and of course, it will be a court decision at the end.
Okay, Vincent?
Sorry?
No, this is only after the fact. So the police can confiscate and constrain people's movements before the court has given such agreement. And so this is obviously against human rights. You cannot suddenly confiscate the property of people and their family members and the companies that they may be involved in before a court order. Now, I actually have a question for the Deputy Minister, because as you indicate, and as the Prime Minister has indicated many times, this is called the anti-KCK package. Now, for those who don't speak Albanian, it means it's the package against those who grab what they can. And the Prime Minister has several times indicated that with this, he means the members of the judiciary. So this is supposedly a package that would grab the property and the assets of those who grab what they can. Now, apart from the fact that this is a full frontal attack meant as an attack on the judiciary itself, I do not see in this law anything that actually deals with those so-called, grab what you can.
So let's get Rovena to respond. Okay, Vincent. Rovena?
Okay, so the normative act is clearly, Vincent, because he has a specific article number 5, which clarifies which are the subjects of this law, of the normative act.
And this excludes corruption and money laundering.
It is written black on the white, who are those subjects of this law. And regarding to judges and prosecutors, yes, it is true. Yes, it is true. Let me know that, of course, they have been part of the KCK because they have given even some decisions which really goes in contrary with all the efforts of the police and prosecution against organized crime. But of course there is the vetting process, of course we fully agree, which is justice reform. So nothing is written here, but the Parliament yesterday in the plenary session, they passed some changes in the law for judges and prosecutors, and of course there will be the specific, institution who will deal with administrative procedures disciplinary procedures against judges and prosecutors, who of course will give such decisions, just like the High Inspectorate of Justice and of course the Council, the Council of the Judges and the Council of the Prosecutors.
I want to ask
so
Erida,
we are respecting the specific laws for judges and prosecutors.
Okay, Erida, is that possible? To be able to do the judicial reform and this thinning out process that's taking place right now, and at the same time trying to be tough on crime while respecting human rights and adhering to all its obligations as a state? Is it possible to do that at the same time?
Yes. Of course
this
it is possible because
the
state works.
Rovena, this is for Erida. Erida, go ahead.
The state works, the state continues. So the police, of course, continues with all its efforts, to investigate and fight against every person,
I know you believe you can do it at the same time, but I'm asking Erida if she trusts that the state can do these two things at the same time.
Okay, sorry that I have misunderstood your question, and now that Rovena has intervened in the answer, now I am more clear. So, I think that it's not possible to make at the same time the implementation of the justice system reform legal framework and this package that is being proposed by the Council of Ministers and includes not only this law this normative act that we are discussing today, but also today we have been introduced with another law that is part of this legal initiative, very confusing legal initiatives, that gives power to the police without the order of the prosecution to put specific people and persons under surveillance. So the whole legal initiative is very confusing. It violates the separation of power, the check and balance principle set in the Constitution of Albania. It violates the human rights set in the Constitution and in the European Convention. And I would like to mention another thing, because
very briefly, we've got 20 seconds left.
Rovena has mentioned the fact that they have consultation with they have done consultation with the international experts. I'm talking for the consultation with domestic actors, with very prestigious NGOs that fights day by day for a better protection of human rights. Why government has not made any consultation with us? We have also won cases before the Strasbourg court. Please, can Ms. Voda respond to this answer, because we have more than 2 months without an answer for being excluded from the consultation process, and the EU itself has requested our opponent approach for this legal initiative.
Erida, I'm out of time.
If EU has his last word, why EU is very interested in our opponent approach for this legal initiative?
We're going to keep a close eye on this. We're going to look at the EU perspective. We're going to follow through and follow up on this story. We'll have you all back on the program sometime soon. But I'm completely out of time, so I apologize. Rovena, Erida, and Vincent, a pleasure having you on the program, and it's good to introduce our viewers to the issues here. We'll have a follow-up. But thanks for joining us here on the Newsmakers, and thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye-bye.